Rohan. Thank you so much for doing this for us. And, firstly, let me again congratulate you for making it to the ISB. And I know how hard you have worked for it and how many doubts you had, and how well you had prepared for your admission to the ISB. So congratulations again. Okay. To start with, I would like to ask you the first question, which is, let's start by understanding your academic and profile and professional profile.
Sure, thanks. So I think I've always been a decent student. Academically, I have done okay for myself. I went to a good high school. It was a boarding school in Gwalior. Then I got a scholarship to study in the UK, and I did my master's in the UK as well. But it was in a field that was not very conventional, it was in public policy. At the GMAT, I got a 680, which is not the best score, but turns out it was enough. So, it is what it is. And professionally, I had a job in tech and policy. So the job had two parts. One of them was research on tech policy, so stuff like data protection. And the second part was program management. So I made it a point to sort of emphasize on the tech policy because that's a lot more hip. So that's broadly the profile.
Great. Decent ACATS and the GMAT score, which was lower than the class average. And your experience in academic and teaching domain to showcase, it must not have been an easy application to build. What was your application strategy and primary focus area when you were, strategizing about your application?
Sure. So I think everyone I talked to kept saying, so my GMAT score was 680 and I wasn't sure if I could do better, honestly, because I was going through a tough time personally and I was like, this is my one chance. So everyone said I have a diversity profile. I'm not an engineer and I should use that as a strength. So I wanted to make sure that the GMAT was the only quote unquote weak thing in my application. So I'm good at essay writing. I write in newspapers often. So I wanted to ace the essays. I took ISBmantra's help. So I had a consultant called Anumeha who works with ISBmantra. And she kept my essay entirely genuine and did an incredible job sort of just making sure that every line answered the question that was being asked. So I'm very thankful. Apart from that, I wanted to sort of ace the interview. So when I got the chance, I thought to myself that if they did not believe that I could get in, they would never give me this chance. So something about this sort of might have worked for them. So I made a Google Doc of I signed up for the assured admit package. And I also made a Google Doc of all the most commonly asked questions and whatever sort of answers I wanted to have to them. So yeah, that was the plan.
Okay, great. So you pursued your undergraduate and master's degree in the UK from University of Westminster. How did you go about deciding an MBA program after already having a master's? And what was your key motivation to apply to ISB in specific?
So I was in the UK for 4 years and I realized that generally finding a job there is very hard because stuff happens, like the Brexit happened. And it was very hard for me to get jobs. And I am not in a conventional engineer or CS position. So that also makes it an uphill battle. So I just wanted to sort of pivot my sector, get a better job. And money was not an issue. I could have gone abroad. But more importantly, I did not want there to be circumstances that were out of my hands that made sure that I had spent 1 crore or 2 crores and gotten a job that wouldn't, be a good return. So, and I wanted to stay in India. I wanted to get placed because I think, so ISB was my only option. I did not want to go to IIM or whatever. I wanted to take the GMAT. And so that's sort of where I was coming from. And yeah, thankfully it happened. So here we are.
Okay, great. So you did mention earlier that, you had signed up for the application strategy with us and you have talked about Anumeha. So, before speaking and after speaking to Anumeha and other people in the team, how did your approach and perspective get enhanced based on these interactions?
So I think the essay writing sessions were incredible. I'll tell you why, because I am generally someone who's writing about tech, in the print or the Hindu or whatever. And like, for me, it's very easy to blabber on and say 50 things that ye hoga, ye hoga, ye hoga. But Anumeha sort of made sure that there was minimal blabbering, that if I have 400 words, then every one of those words sort of is answering the one question that's been asked. And so her approach to storytelling was like that, like so much faff was cut out. I didn't even know it was faff. And the thing is, the question was also playing to my strengths, because the question was something like, what is your biggest strength, or something like that. And my biggest strength has always been consistency. If I start doing something, I keep doing it. So it was very easy it came naturally to me also. So that's how the Anumeha process helped. Interview similarly was equally good. So yeah.
Great. And how much time did ISB give you to prepare for interview?
5 days, 7 days. I think I got the email on a Sunday night and the interview was on a Saturday afternoon. So I think 5.5 days or so.
Okay. And, you went through mock interviews and counseling sessions with experts at ISBmantra. Please tell us about, the different sessions and, how that helped you to streamline your thoughts. And how did you see your approach changing through these sessions?
Right. So I think I had around 5 mock sessions. My thing was, so I had a session with you, of course, and you said that it's a diversity profile and you gave me sort of broad inputs ki kaise approach karna hai. Then I had a session with Dr. Naveen. I had 2 sessions with him. I think both my sessions went really well because he had no feedback for me. And to me, that was really concerning. I was like,
okay.
I mean, it's really good that there is no feedback, but I don't want this to end up in a place where, there really should have been some feedback and I didn't do enough. So that's when I had an interview with this guy called Sahil. And it was absolutely brutal. It was, I don't think I've ever gone through such a rigorous interview. And because I'm trying to change, my whole story was, I'm trying to go from policy to product. And while I can communicate well, I can build a good rapport. Like the story itself needs to be sold well, right? And Sahil just absolutely destroyed me in that interview. Like he's borderline mean. And then sort of we sat down and analyzed that exactly how do I make my story better. So my story became, mere ko policy se product mein jana hai. Instead it became, even if I don't go into product, I want to work with a product team. So product adjacent of sorts. So this sort of convinced me ki, this is a story that I can sell, because even if the transition doesn't happen, there is a plan B that is equally good. And interview, after I had gone through Sahil's interview, the actual interview felt like a proper breeze. Because I remember in the interview, like half of the way through, I was in my head telling myself, you did it, it's done. Because I had left them speechless like 4 times. And it was, the interview was incredible.
Okay, great. And how was your actual interview at ISB? How did you prepare? What was the key areas of discussion in your interview?
So interview was quite easygoing. I'm generally a pessimistic person, but as I said, I was quite shocked at how well it had went. Basically, it started off, they're both alums in tech companies. The one from the AdCom was there. And they basically started with, tell us about yourself and so on. So I had practiced that a million times. And then sort of they started talking about tech. And I said upfront that I was nervous. So I think they made an active effort to say that, treat it like a conversation. And that was really nice. And then they basically wanted to understand how policy fit. And I had prepared 3 to 4 examples perfectly. And they really just landed really, really well. So stuff like, why does Twitter not have an edit button? Or why does Google Pay want your location? These are all policy questions, right? So that was a good thing. And then after the subject specific questions were done, they asked me to talk about the books I read. So because that was in my profile, I admit I read 52 books a year. So they picked up on that. And then I think the sort of cream on top was that towards the end, they asked you, do you have any questions for me? So when Sahil had asked me this, I had asked him some generic question and he was like, why are you asking this? You already know that ye aise hota hai. So what's the point? Instead, why don't you ask them about their personal experience? तो अगले को भी अपने बारे में कुछ बोलने का मौका मिल जाएगा. So they leave with a good taste in their mouth. So I asked them this, and they had really good experiences to share, and it was a great note to end on. So like throughout, it went really nicely.
Okay, great. So looks like the interview preparations with different specialists at ISBmantra gave you enough input for your final interview.
Absolutely.
Great. So now that you have an admit, what are you looking forward to most at the ISB? Are there any specific things you are planning to do?
To be
or
honest,
have done before joining?
No, honestly, I'm just trying to keep up with the pre-reads. I'm not someone with an engineering or a CA background. So when calculus and accounts come, I'm like completely dazed. So I'm trying to keep up, and let's see if I'm done before I join campus. So there are no plans as such apart from just being on the roller coaster.
Great. So before we wrap up, what will be your advice to the prospective applicants who come from such backgrounds?
If you are coming from a diversity background, I would say that it's good to use it to your advantage, because my GMAT score is 40 points below this time's class average. This time is 720. I had a 680. So I had to other stuff. I had to use other stuff like my background in the UK. I was verified on Twitter, so I used that. Like I put that in the application form. My essays differentiated me, because I feel like if I was an engineer, maybe my profile might not have gotten through. Like because there are much better engineers than me with much better GMAT scores. So someone else might have been selected. So I would say recognize your strengths and try and play to them, because it can be a good way to stand out. So yeah.
Okay. All right. Those were the questions from us for you, Rohan. And again, thank you very much for doing this. And we wish you all the best, Rohan. Hope you make the best out of this 1 year.
Thank you. Thanks for all the help. Yeah.